Well, good afternoon, friends.
Hey, Dave.
As Jerry said, Barbara and I and our family have lived around here since the late 50s. Been in Pinellas County that whole time. Believe it or not, I was actively employed and did make a living, besides learning all about the area. But let's start off with the purpose of this presentation is to introduce Highland Lakes residents to the area outside of Lake Tarpon. And this is a training program as well for the boat captains, and I hope that my little discussion here today will encourage other captains to come forward. The Boating Association always needs captains. Trip in and around and outside Lake Tarpon. This is an old map of the area. I'm going to start off with a little bit of history and orienting people as to just where we are and how we fit in. Starting over here on the left-hand side, this is Wall Springs. This is now a Pinellas County park. A beautiful, beautiful park. It has piers that go out into St. Joseph Sound, which is the name of the body of the water here. It has a wonderful spring rising up. And back in the early days, the 1920s, the 1930s, this was the entertainment center of this area of Pinellas County. There were dance halls here, there were apartments, there were entertainment things like rides. This is where people would flock on the weekends to get away from their workaday habits and their problems. It was interesting to note, this is Tarpon Springs, and you could get a jitney ride from Tarpon Springs down to Wall Springs and return back to Tarpon Springs after your day of enjoyment of the swimming area. It costs 25 cents round trip and admission. They would run special trains from St. Petersburg on the weekends up here to Wall Springs. Okay, moving on. I've mentioned the railroad. The railroad was very, very important in the development of Florida. This is the Atlantic coastline. I'm going to show you some history later on. This is what this connection was made with Fernandino Beach or Amelia Island over on the East Coast. This was made in 1887. The railroad first came into Tarpon Springs, and then very soon, 2 or 3 years later, it was extended into St. Petersburg, where the famous Russian developer established the name St. Petersburg and developed much of St. Petersburg as a resort area. Tarpon Springs was also a resort area. In the wintertime, numerous millionaires from the Northeast would come down here. They all had their homes around the bayous here. They all had, I think, because I'm interested in sailing, they all had their own yachts. And the day's activities was to go out here and race each other up and down St. Joseph Sound. And there were famous hotels here. Southern University, which is now over in Lakeland, actually started here in Tarpon Springs. This is, oh, I'm sorry about that, I misspoke. Palm Harbor is down in this area right here. It was Sutherland at that time,